So the other day, I reacted to a video of the most toxic Beyblade ever created, Phantom Orion. You could go through 10 controllers, 5 PS5s, 10 Nintendo Switches, all broken, and it still will not move. You're gonna break every last single one of them because that Beyblade was so toxic. But today, that might all change. Because today's video, chat, we're gonna be reacting to the overpowered Beyblade that snuck into a world championship. This the same guy that made the video I was talking about with the toxic Beyblade. Bro got a lot of knowledge when it comes to this stuff, and he do his homework. The first overpowered Beyblade I really seen that I wanted was Ryuga's Beyblade. I'm pretty sure everybody in this chat wanted El Drago. Why? Because it gives you aura. And you gotta know, I love overpowered beings that actually make sense. Or sometimes like, they ain't even gotta make sense. Like if they got aura, they got aura.
Perfect.
Competitive Beyblade has always been a battle. Not just in the stadium, but in balancing the game itself. With every new release, the meta can change in an instant.
It's just like Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Do the same thing. Fighting games do the same thing. They let out a powerful character, and then at some point in time, they gotta nerf it because it's too overpowered. Now, there are those rare occasions where I do agree, some things get a little toxic. But my overall premise is just become so good at the game that it's not really that much of an issue. But I gotta keep a middle ground because there are very rare cases where I have to change my mind. Because it be sometimes where the character be so broken that you literally cannot play the game.
Some parts get stronger, others fade into obscurity, but when a part is too overpowered, it forces everyone to use it just to stay competitive.
See?
That's when power creep can take over. Now, power creep isn't unique to Beyblade alone. It happens in every competitive game. Think about Pokemon, where Mega Evolutions and/or Legendary Pokemons can make older picks obsolete. Or League of Legends, where new champions can drop with overloaded kits, forcing pro players to pick them or ban them every match.
No, not again, no.
But in those games, the developers have tools to fix things. They can drop balance patches, nerf broken characters, or introduce new formats. Beyblade though, it's a physical game. Once a part is released, its stats are set in stone. There's no update to tweak an overpowered part. Once it's out there, it's staying that way.
It's out there.
How is Beyblade balanced? Well, the biggest competitive community, the WBO, handled things by creating different formats, mainly separating parts based on weight classes. And it worked pretty well, but...
Okay, I did not know that there was a whole league, IRL, of Beyblade, like, out there doing this type of stuff. Like, I knew people was having tournaments, but I didn't know it was, like, of this caliber. I might figure around and go and see Jenga in that bit. Might have to indulge.
Here's the thing. The WBO, it's not the official Beyblade organization.
Okay, I take back what I said. Okay, cool. I thought it was the official, but apparently it's not.
It's a fan-run group where anyone can host their own tournaments, meaning the competitive scene was mostly built by the players themselves. Then in 2012, something huge happened. The first official Beyblade World Championship.
Oh, okay. So that was a fan ran thing, but this right here is the real deal.
For the first time, the players had a structured, company-backed tournament run by Takara Tomy, Hasbro, and Sonocon. This was a major step forward. Fans were excited. The big question now was, how would they balance the game? And their answer? It was to just simply ban the 4D Beyblades, which is technically all the Beyblades in the third season. And honestly, that was a pretty smart move. The 4D parts were on a completely different level. They were heavier, stronger, and far beyond what earlier releases could handle. If they had been allowed, the entire tournament would be forced to utilize the 4D system.
The 4D Beyblades are basically the YNs. They had to just get them up out of there before shit starts getting wicked. They had to get 4D Beyblades up out of there because it started pulling out the Draco as it was spinning.
Making every other part released beforehand pretty much useless.
Wow.
So restricting them? That made sense. It was a fair call. Or so it seemed. Because somehow, despite banning the current powerhouse Beyblades in the game, they completely overlooked one of the most overpowered non-4D releases ever made. This Beyblade was so absurdly strong that even without the 40 upgrades, it was the second heaviest Beyblade in the entire series. And it was fully legal. And yep, it dominated the competition. And that Beyblade was Twisted Tempo.
Twisted Tempo. I've never heard of that one. The look of it, the design is nice. Yeah, they've been cooking like Kai in that bit, boy.
Twisted Tempo, or the Japanese name Basalt Hirogium, was released in January 16, 2011. Classified as a defense type, this Beyblade was shown to be one of the main final antagonists in the second season of Beyblade. The reason why this Beyblade was considered overpowered,
if it was one of the antagonists in Beyblade, then clearly it's been a minute since I've seen the show.
Was due to its fusion wheel, Twisted. And when you look back during that time to compare the average weights of the fusion wheels, you would see that they would hover at approximately 35 grams. But Twisted, it weighed an outstanding 47.6 grams.
Yeah!
Over 12 grams higher than the average wheel released at that time. Which even after all of the 40 releases, it would still be the second heaviest wheel, being eventually pushed out by the number one, Diablo.
Dang, Diabloids! 51 grams. Heavy ass Beyblade, that bitch been eating some burgers, man. If Diablo comes out and says, I've never ate a Big Mac, it is lying, okay? Bro eat a Big Mac, he got a milkshake, and he got 2 apple pies every day. That's a heavy Beyblade.
The only real attempt at balancing this fusion wheel was the so-called Staircase of Death, a deliberate chunk taken out of the—
I ain't even see that, that's cold. Nah, that's fire. That staircase looking type like deal, nah, that's tough,
inner wheel. And in theory, this was supposed to make the Beyblade slightly unbalanced, adding a layer of fairness. But in practice, the nerf was barely noticeable. The sheer weight and nearly perfect circular shape of the wheel overshadowed any intended drawback, which kept it as dominant as ever. Now, before we get back to the tournament, there's one more Beyblade that I need to mention. It wasn't as dominant as Twisted Tempo, but it still made a serious impact on the competition. This was Hell's Kerbex, but unlike Twisted Tempo, the way this Beyblade was dominating was a combination between both the spin track and the wheel. This allowed it to create a wall-like shape, kind of like Twisted Tempo, which also made it hard for it to get knocked out and or outspun. In retrospect, this was another way that Beyblade introduced power creep and not noticing it until the World Championship.
Before I actually got like heavily into how IRL Beyblades work, like I'm not like the most Beyblade savvy IRL person, but I do know that now, since I have looked into it a little bit, that the weight, the model, basically how it's constructed matters. Because I used to think that, what are they talking about? All you gotta do is just let it rip, and then whichever one lasts. I used to think that, bro, what's the point? It's just like you don't control your Beyblade like they do in the anime, so it's like, what? How do you even win a Beyblade tournament? But it depends on how your Beyblade's made. Genuinely, I thought you just let that whole rip, and whatever one get swooped, and it didn't even matter if it was big, small, heavy, skinny, anorexic. I didn't care. Nor did I know. But nowadays, all of these videos and all the research that I've been doing, it's been changing my thought process on it. That's why I be so locked in when he be giving specific details and statistics.
To give some perspective, this Beyblade was good, but still not as great compared to Twisted Tempo. If giving the average Beyblade a B to C rating before the power creep came in, Twisted Tempo would be S+ tier, while Hell's Kerbex would be drifting around S- tier. Still a huge gap between the average Beyblade. Wow. And now if we go back to look at official tournament footage from quarterfinals to finals.
That's exactly what I thought, that Beyblades, any of them, didn't matter what it was. I thought they all did that. It did not matter. Or if they hit a certain point in the ring, then it could help them. I thought that this was just it. No, bro, it matters, bro. It matters, I'm telling you.
Anyone who was using an ordinary Beyblade against Twisted Tempo and or Hell's Kerbex seemed to lose. No longer can you use 90% of the wheels released in this era. Anyone who realized the strengths of Hell and Twisted would easily breeze through the bracket stage up to the finals. And not to mention, in this tournament, you were supposed to utilize more than one Beyblade in your lineup, which meant you can use both Twisted Tempo and Hell's Curbix in your deck. It also probably doesn't help that they utilize the infamous Hasbro stadiums, which notably has a larger playing field, as well as only 2 knockout zones compared to the current standard competitive stadium with a slightly smaller playing field as well as 3 knockout zones.
I also never really cared for the stadiums because I thought the stadiums was just too small. I always thought that I needed like a really big open playing field just so the Beyblades can go greater distances. But I understand now Beyblade arenas are very, very pivotal to the game in general IRL because it allows them to do things instead of just on an open playing field, sit there and spin all day. They can actually hit each other because in an open playing field, if they hit each other, it's a great chance they not coming back to hit each other again. They just gonna hit, separate, and then spin till one of them niggas stop spilling.
This basically made it impossible for any ordinary Beyblade to knock out your Beyblade if you were utilizing Twisted Tempo and or Hell's Curbix. Which also meant that most battles ended in a sleep out, which in a viewer's perspective can be quite boring. Jumping into semifinals, they swapped out the Hasbro Stadium for the standard BB-10, which made knockouts more likely, and at this point, most Beyblades that were in Twisted Tempo and or Hell's Curbix were practically weeded out. And yeah, at this point, you were just seeing who built their Twisted Tempo and or Hell's Curbix better. And to give some credit, after looking specifically at their builds, the 12-year-old Rio had a genius design. He utilized a smart technique, which was the combination of the 230 spin track and a metal ball. This inherently made his Beyblade way taller than the average Beyblade, which made it harder for anyone to knock him out. And because it was a tall Beyblade, it utilized a special interaction called destabilization, which forced the opposing Beyblade to hit your plastic 230 spin track, which also drained the opposing Beyblade's stamina. This made it hard for anyone to outspin and or knock him out. Now, in the finals is where things got a little wonky. They utilized the Tornado Beyblade Stadium, which consisted of a motorized spinning center with a small crater in the bottom. This would intentionally force your Beyblade to spin out of control, and the idea was for you to fling yourself at your opponent to—
That is a terrible arena. Okay, that is a ridiculous arena, atrocious. That's a hit or miss stadium. I don't ever want to play on that stadium.
knock them out. And guess what Beyblades the 2 finalists had? Well, if you
Both.
guessed both of them having Twisted Tempo and Hell's Curbix, you were correct.
That's exactly what I had predicted. I was thinking one of them niggas got Twisted Tempo and the other one got Curbix. Come on now, it's pretty obvious.
In the first match, Rio utilized an aggressive Hell's Curbix with a short high build rather than using the synergized spin track against his opponent's Twisted Tempo. Unfortunately for the opponent, he wasn't utilizing the tall build that Rio had, which gave Rio an easy knockout utilizing the motorized stadium. The second match is when Rio's combo shined. That was Rio's signature Twisted Tempo 230 metal ball combo. And actually, thanks to its height, it stayed pretty stable in the motorized center, while the synergized Hell's Curbix combos on the opposing side lost control. And the imbalance from Hell's Curbix ultimately gave Rio the edge, securing the final point he needed to win the tournament. By the way, I'm not discrediting Rio's win here. He found the combos that were strong and utilized them the best compared to the rest of the competition. He absolutely deserved the championship, but I also can't help but wonder how the tournament would have been if these 2 parts were banned. Because in the current Metal Fight Limited format where these 2 parts are banned, the format has been so diverse with so many healthy combos available. So yeah, that's pretty much how a Beyblade World Championship kind of got ruined due to power creep. So now I want to know what you guys thought about all this.
And I do too. Let me know what y'all think about this video in the comments. I would love to know your opinion on this video and Beyblade in general. And shoot, hey man, even throw what kind of Beyblade you got if you got one. Or you used to have growing up, or shoot, if you had, I don't know, bro. Just throw it in the comment section. I'm starting to like these videos that Eddie be putting together because they're very informative. And if you got a sharp eye and ear, it'll teach you something that you can use later on down the line. Another brilliant video, my guy. And until the next time, I'll see y'all in the next video. Shalom.
Hey, listen.
Rose petals on the floor. The one from my dreams, and you're with me right now. Mi amor, mi corazón te quiero. Right here and now, I'll give give you a taste. Snake princess, I'll be your